And welcome to FBB Forum. I'm very pleased to welcome the beautiful IFBB Pro Women's Physique competitor, Angela Noury. Angela has been competing since 2009, and she turned pro in 2021 at the Universe. And her last contest was New York Pro from last year. And she's actually going to be competing again at New York Pro this year in like a week, or 8 days. So, and also in Toronto on June 4th. So welcome, Angela. It's really great having you here.
Thank you.
And I want to appreciate your patience. We had, this is our second time doing the interview. We had a major snafu with tech stuff last time. So I really appreciate you coming back.
Oh, absolutely.
That was that was challenging. That kept interrupting us, the recording lady.
I thought you were going to at least be able to piece it together, but I guess not.
No, it didn't work, unfortunately.
Didn't work out that way. It's all right.
Yeah.
We'll try again.
I think we're good this time. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be good this time.
She better not come back, that damn recording lady.
Oh, so aggravated.
So I wanted to ask you how you got started in bodybuilding, and did you have an athletics or sports background before you started in bodybuilding?
So I started working out at home when I was 11. I joined a gym when I was 15. As soon as I joined the gym, I was like instant gym rat. I also had a dance background, dance, acrobatics, gymnastics. I did that when I was younger, probably for about 8 years.
Okay.
And then during high school, I played basketball in high school, and I played volleyball for a little bit too. I'm 5'11", so I am pretty athletic, so I was using my height to my advantage at that point.
Sure.
And then I was always into working out. So as soon as I was able to join the gym, I did. And then I got into the competitive side of things when I was around 24. And I'm 37 now, so it's been quite some time.
That's great. So you must have always been taller than the other girls around you, just with that height. That's amazing, 5'11".
I'm sorry, say that again?
You must have always been a bit taller than a lot of your friends and other girls at school and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was 5'8" by the time I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like when you play basketball, I was in a Division I school, so when I was playing against girls on other teams, some of those girls are over 6 feet tall, like 6'4", 6'6". Yeah. I was tiny next to that. I'm 5'11", so next to 6'6", you're tiny. That's almost a foot taller than me. So yeah, I guess it's all relative, right?
Yeah, that's true. Now, how did you get started in bodybuilding, and who convinced you to do your first contest?
Say that again? I'm sorry, it's hard to hear a little bit.
Oh, no problem. How did you get started in bodybuilding, and who convinced you to do your first contest?
Okay, so I was working at a gym. Actually, it was a Planet Fitness at the time. And one of my coworkers, she was one of the trainers there. I had known her for a couple of years, and she had brought it up to me that I should try to compete. And my initial reaction is like what everyone says to me nowadays, which actually, funny enough, like this response annoys me. Is I like food too much.
Yeah.
So we all like food. I mean, come on now. So at first I was like hesitant about it, and then I gave it some thought. And at the time, the show that I was going to do or could have done was only 8 weeks away. So in my mind, I was like, well, I could do anything for 8 weeks. The training part of it and the dedication to get to the gym and whatnot, that was always the easy part.
Yeah.
But I used to run 10 miles a day just so I could eat whatever I wanted.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. Oh yeah. I wasn't on the track team or anything. I just was a nutcase. So I reached out to my coworker a couple days later, however long later, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. So I did an 8-week like prep, I guess that's what you want to call it. The organization I did doesn't even exist anymore.
Okay.
So I did an 8-week prep, and I had a huge change phase. Whenever you do something you've never done before, like I didn't know how to eat before that. So
yeah,
just cleaning up my act for 8 weeks, I saw a huge transformation. Not to where like I went into the show and I like killed everybody. My genetics aren't that good, but at the same time, there was still like a huge improvement just over 8 weeks. So in my mind, I was like, wow, if I can do that in 8 weeks, what can I do if I really did it?
Okay.
So that's where like it stuck kind of. So that was my first show, and I think I was 24. I think it was 10 of 9. 10. I did a couple more shows. So yeah, I've been between different organizations. I did different categories. I did. So I have quite a bit of experience in all different forms of competing. It did take me a little while because NBC was always one of the organizations that I had tried. But I was just kind of trying to find my place within the world. Also too, because I'm so tall, it takes a long time to build on it. So I kind of just was going into whatever category I could fit in at the time until I was at the one that I actually wanted to do, which is when I was an amateur MPC, women's physique. And then now IFBB women's physique. And so that's in my opinion, that's my lane. That's where I belong.
I agree. Yeah. As a fan, I kind of prefer women's physique because I like to see the flex, and it's more, you get to do a posing routine. It's just, I think it's more interesting than like figure, which is a little too regimented, too robotic, I think,
Yeah, I mean, figure, I love the look of figure, but that also takes a very specific genetic structure.
Yeah.
And I don't really have that genetic structure. So to me, women's physique is like the perfect line between bodybuilding and figure. It's like the in between, and that's why I like it so much. It's like, it's similar obviously to bodybuilding, but it's more of like comparable to like men's classic in bodybuilding.
Yeah,
that's how I see it anyway. Like, to me, it's like more about aesthetic as opposed to who's the biggest, most jacked, ripped one up there, or at least that's what it should be about, in my opinion. And I think that's what would make the difference between the classes.
Yeah, I think it suits.
Or that's what makes the difference between classes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that. I think it suits you well too. I think your physique is good for women's physique. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I could figure, like I said, I don't have the genetic structure for it. And then bodybuilding, I'm like I said, I'm 5'11", so I'm gonna have to put on like 40 more pounds of muscle to even be competitive in it. So I think the women's physique is a nice in between the two.
I agree. Yeah, I think so too. Now, when you first started competing, did you have like a fitness or bodybuilding role model?
Well, so back then, the internet, was just like Facebook. I think MySpace had just ended or come to a close. And Facebook was just starting to come up. And I just had somebody give me a dirty look driving by. Anyway, I got distracted.
Oh, no.
Lost my train of thought. So anyway, you didn't have access to the things that you have now as far as bodybuilding is concerned.
Yeah.
So we just had magazines. So I used to remember like reading the magazines in the store when I was younger. I wouldn't actually buy the magazines. I would just look at them while my mom was shopping, and I would like look through it. I didn't really know who anyone was, but I also remember seeing it on I don't know if it was ESPN back then, but I was really into watching actually the fitness girls that used to do like the flips and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I also really liked the way that they looked, because they weren't as big as the women's bodybuilders, but they were very fit and they were athletic. So I was really into that look.
Yeah.
Which is also, I don't know if that was part of the reason I was into like gymnastics and things when I was younger. Well, most people were 5'11", arms flipping around.
Yeah.
That's not, it is uncommon to be a tall, like gymnastic person,
That's true. Yeah.
But the thing that really inspired me is when I was really young, which I told you when the first time we tried to do this interview was, I was a huge Rocky fan, and just watching those movies, like as silly as that seems, I watched those movies, and that's what inspired me. I was like, Sylvester Stallone's the man. I want to be ripped too. I didn't want to like look like Sylvester Stallone. I wanted to be the girl version of Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
how it came to life for me.
Yeah, he looked amazing, and especially in Rocky IV, I think. And he was, because he had to kind of beef up to look beefy next to Dolph Lundgren,
Yeah, Rocky III and Rocky IV. That's what sold me. I would watch that do crunches in my living room.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's still pretty amazing. He still looks really pretty good. Yeah.
Still a huge fan.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I love his stuff. Yeah, he's great, and he's done a few indie movies that have been pretty good too. Yeah. Um, Now, I was curious when you first started competing. Did you get nervous when you first went on stage in a bikini? Was it? I bet it was kind of nerve-wracking. Oh, I might have lost you.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Oops. Oh shit. Now, I was curious, when you first started bodybuilding, were you nervous to get up on stage in a bikini? Because I think it would be kind of nerve-wracking, especially your first time doing that.
It was definitely for sure. It wasn't necessarily being on stage because I had a dance background. So I used to do like dance recitals and dance competitions and things like that. So being on stage, actually performing wasn't foreign to me, but being on stage almost naked, that was foreign to me. And
Yeah.
then obviously you're gonna pick, and we still do, like I feel like every competitor does that. We pick ourselves apart
Mhm.
more so than anybody else does.
Yeah.
And back then, first time up there, you bet your ass I was picking myself apart. So yeah, it's nerve-wracking. You're in your own head. You've never done it before. You're on stage in front of a bunch of people almost naked. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
scary.
I would think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be definitely nerve-wracking. Now, my next few questions are about family and home life, and I was curious, what do your parents think about your fitness career, and are they supportive?
So when my father was alive, he very much loved the fact I was very into fitness.
Mm,
He was into fitness too. He was part of the reason I got into it myself. I used to see him working out at home and everything like that. So that's part of the reason I did get into it.
okay,
He passed away a couple of years ago now, or actually more like 6 years ago now, because time
okay.
flies and I lost track. But he didn't really know much about me in my competing. He just knew that I really loved fitness and going to the gym and staying in shape and things like that.
Okay.
My mother, who fortunately is still with me, she just knows that this is part of me. So she's supportive. She's proud. She shows people my picture. She updates her friends on how I'm doing, and yeah, so she's very supportive. She's not like me when it comes to fitness. She's not even as far as like as into as like my dad was, but I think that she loves how much I love it, and that
That's
I think she loves that I found something that I love this much.
really, that's terrific. That's great.
Yeah.
And happy Mother's Day to her too, if she watches this later. So that's coming up soon.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to her. Unfortunately, I can't celebrate with her because I'll be eating fish and vegetables. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
she's on her own.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you got a
She
show
got
coming up.
kids too. I'm always in prep this time of year, and her birthday's in May too, so I miss two things usually.
Oh no.
I try to make it up to her later, but
Yeah. That's awesome that she's so supportive though.
yeah, she's great.
Now, I was curious, do you have kids?
No kids.
No? And you told me before you don't want to have kids, right?
Not
No.
my thing. I don't mind other people's children. I just don't. It's just not for me.
Sure, I understand that. Yeah. Now, do you find it kind of hard to juggle the demands of work and home life with bodybuilding? And do you have a full-time job outside of bodybuilding?
So fortunately, what I do is directly related to bodybuilding. So I own a personal training facility here over here in Rhode Island. I've had that now for almost 4 years.
Hmm.
Before that, I was working in corporate gym environments. I was like regional manager, things like that.
Okay.
Um, I've always been in fitness industry. I started working in a gym when I started working in gyms and became a manager at gyms when I was young. I was only 19 when that started.
Hmm.
So I've been in this industry working full time since I was 19, and I'm
Wow.
37 now. So almost 20 years of being in this industry. So the point being is because it's directly related to bodybuilding, I can get in all my meals, I can get in all my water. Like to me, it's actually a benefit because my clients that are coming to me I'm leading by example. Like they're seeing me do all the right things, you know? So if I'm in the middle of a session, it's time to eat, I can eat freely because they understand what I'm doing. So
Yeah,
that's
sure.
it's definitely nice to have that. The problem is as I get closer and closer to the show, my personality usually takes a little bit of a hit and my
Yeah,
patience for people gets a little bit less.
yeah,
Um,
I understand.
and sometimes I'm training like 16 to 18 people in a day. And you
Wow.
gotta kind of gotta be on, you know, like
Mhm.
you gotta not only it's not just about the workout because they're also there and they stay with you because of who you are and your personality too. So you got to
Mhm.
give them something, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to at that point, you know. So that would be
sure.
the most challenging part. But fortunately, this prep for me has been like a very very good one where I felt good most of the time.
Okay.
Um, so fortunately for them, they're not seeing the other side of it too bad this year.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's good for your retention of clients too, probably.
And the people who have been with me for years, they've been through multiple preps with me, so they also know to not take anything personal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it helps.
I would think it would be helpful to have bodybuilding as your career because you really are living it 24/7 in that regard.
Yep.
Because I know folks who have work in medicine or in dental or as teaching or whatever, and I think it would be hard to kind of shut off that bodybuilding mind and go work at the dental office or whatever, so
Right. And then I feel like people are like the people surrounding you are a lot less understanding of what you're doing as well.
yeah,
And I don't want to say judgmental, but I mean maybe to some aspect they probably are.
yeah.
Whereas like bodybuilding is also what you do, like that's your career, it's your business, it's your job. Like people are like, oh, this is just who she is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that's good for you. I think that's, yeah, and that's helpful, I would think. Um, Now my next few questions are about prep and coaching. I was curious, what would you say is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
My biggest thing is not being able to sleep,
Yeah.
uh,
hmm
which again, this year actually hasn't been that bad. And that probably has a lot to do with um, why I'm having such a good prep because I've been getting good night's sleeps. But there are those nights, like actually last night is a perfect example of not sleeping good.
Mm.
Um, I slept awful last night. Just spotty sleep, tossing and turning. I don't know if it's just because my metabolism is on fire and it's just like keeping me
Mm.
awake. But it sucks to not be able to sleep when your body is physically exhausted. So to
Yeah.
me, that's the worst part. But again, it hasn't been that bad this prep. So
Hmm.
hopefully I can make it through the next 3 weeks with it being not that bad, you know?
I understand. Yeah. I bet that's tough though, not to get enough sleep because you health wise, but just mental wise, you just need the sleep to refresh yourself, renew yourself really. So
And to recover from your training, you
yeah.
know, and you're not getting a extra surplus of food. So where's the recovery coming from? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now I was curious, is there a particular food item that you missed the most during the prep?
Hmm. So, like I was telling you, the first try we tried for this interview
Yeah.
is I always describe prep as wanting everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
But you know, like you would love to have something that's not the same thing that you've been eating for the past 4 months. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it's like if I was given the option to have whatever I wanted right now, I wouldn't even know what to have.
I
I don't know if it was
understand.
because I want everything. So I'd be like, well, I don't know what to choose because I want everything. Or if I'm
Um,
just like my body is just so used to eating what it's eating, like it doesn't even know how to crave anything.
yeah.
Um, I will say this: I don't ever have a sweet tooth in my off season. Never, ever, ever. I don't want sweets. But
Okay.
when I'm in prep, I want I want all the cookies. I want all the funky breakfasts with the French toast and the toppings, like the fudge topping. I want all that in prep. So
Yeah.
um, but like my go-to meal, like during a prep, if I was allowed to have a free meal, or like after the show, if I get a meal, it'll be like a burger and fry or sushi, and that's pretty much a bodybuilding staple. Those are usually the ones that people pick. But from what I've experienced, it's the food when you're this deep in prep that won't make me sick.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
I can still stomach it and not get nauseous over it. So
That's tough with the sweet tooth during prep, though. That would be tough, especially if there's like tempting food around you and stuff like that, you know.
yeah, I mean, my trick to it is diet soda.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love diet soda during prep. It is my savior because it 0 calories, it's carbonated, so it kind of like fills up your stomach and it kind of curbs that sweet tooth end of it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Now, I know you have a prep coach, and I think you're driving there to see him now, right?
Yes. So I'm driving to Boston from Providence right now to go see Jose Raymond, who's my coach. It's our first time working together this year, but he's been awesome.
Great. And I'll include his Instagram down below and yours as well in the comments. But tell me about him as a coach. What do you like? Why do you like working with him?
So the reason I like working with him is because with the kind of communication. Um, like I feel like he's also a friend. It's not just a numbers game to him. Like I'm not just another one of his 100 clients. He has more than a handful, but I like on average, I would say he probably has like 15 like really serious people that like are at the pro level that he works with or trying to get at least to the pro level that are serious about it.
Okay.
And I think that allows, it frees up a lot more time for him to be more hands-on with people, and instead of things being like cookie cutter and like copying pasting going on between the supplement protocols and food protocols, like copying pasting to like every single client because you just have too many of them. He's more hands-on and he wants to check in. He checks in with me when it's not even a check-in day. Like to me, that's somebody who cares, you know. And I don't need a coach to be up my butt. Like I'm not a needy client, but at the same token, it's nice to know that like he has my back and he wants me to do well instead of just being a number. So I think that and then the fact that he has the experience that he has. I mean, I think he told me the other day he's been to the Olympia like 10 times. That's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that was the number, if I remember correct, but it's up there. I think he won 12 pro shows and been to the Olympia 10 times, if I remember correct, but don't quote me on that, but I think that's what he told me. So anyone who's been to that level that many times knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and I just like his approach. Like, it came down easy. It wasn't anything drastic. So I was able to keep high energy throughout my entire prep. It gave me good workouts. So I got into shape from the the training and the amount of with anything else, and that's freaking huge.
Yeah.
That's I'm very happy with them. I mean, the new pro, I mean, it's a tough show. It's very competitive, but like this is by far my best look ever. So that alone makes me more than happy.
That's great. I'm excited to see how you look on stage. It's and yeah, just a week away, like we talked about. So it's really cool. Now I was curious, what advice could you give to kind of up and coming competitors who are looking for a good coach?
It's the coach who you find the best fit for yourself. And I think the way that you guys a coach and their client communicate back and forth and what the client need versus like the coach's style. Like some people just don't have the right chemistry, you know. So like finding the coach that you have the right chemistry with, and a lot of that has to do with communication. And then like of course, their approach as an individual too, as a coach matters as well, because I mean you gotta find. I don't feel like it should be cookie cutter. It's not like one way works for everybody.
Yeah,
so find
that's true.
A coach that will actually work with you as an individual and figure out you as an individual is important.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice.
And well, unfortunately, there's a lot of trial and error in the sport too, because you don't know until you try. So
that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And yeah, I definitely understand that. And there's some not great.
Gotta try for extended periods of time of being dedicated, consistent, 100%. It's not like I have clients that like, oh, the scale hasn't moved. Well, how long have you been following the plan for? A week. And that's if they're even following it for real, following it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you, people expect a miracle in a week?
Sorry, I lost you for a second there. I think I got you back.
Other, yeah, I can hear you.
But thank you for that advice on the coaches. Yeah, I think it's important to really to recognize, a good coach versus bad coach, and and move on if you need to, and find somebody that'll work with you better. Let's see.
Because not just, it's not just for my experience.
I'm starting to lose you again here. We're getting bad. Now, I was curious, do you find it kind of hard to compete against the smaller girls because, you're very tall and you kind of look giant compared to some of those shorter women, but they're more compact and maybe can pack on the muscle a little bit easier. But how do you kind of deal with that? Or how do you, in terms of, and even kind of dealing with the judges in that regard?
I mean, there's not anything I can do about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be people shorter than me. I'm taller than all the bodybuilders too. I'm taller than everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm taller than 95% of the competitors.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I love to do it. So even though I know it's going to take me longer to get to the size that they're looking for and whatnot, it doesn't matter to me. I'm still going to do it my way. I'm going to do it the way I'm comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
And then eventually I will get to where I need to be. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep on competing because I just love to do it.
Sure.
And I'm just going to work on what I have.
That's perfect. It. That makes sense. I think that's good. And I think it's good to stick with it too, because you do have a really good look on stage for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the taller people have like that more aesthetic look, which I'm a fan of. And I don't know if I'm a fan of it because I am a taller person, but I'll use Chris Bumstead as an example. He's taller than most people on stage and he looks phenomenal.
He does.
Because when you're tall and you bring it, you're really bringing it.
Yeah.
So it's cool, it just takes longer.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point about Bumstead too. Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah, amazing.
Now, I was curious, how do you find it hard to deal with female bodybuilding fans? Because I know some of them can be kind of overbearing, but I think, most of them mean well. But what's like your interactions been like with the fans?
It's yeah, there's a lot of strangeness out there when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And I know when you're putting yourself out there as a bodybuilder and everything, like that's part of the territory. Like you're gonna have people messaging you weird stuff, and it comes with the territory. Again, especially if you're putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that a lot of them are genuine good people, and they're just like, they're fans, and it's kind of cool that people like look at you that way. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's like 50-50. 50
Yeah.
are like respectful and cool and just like want to actually show you the respect because they respect you and what you do. And then the other people have their fetishes and whatever, that's fine. I guess the thing that I don't like about it is if I say I'm not into something, that they keep on pushing. That's the part that bothers me. It's like, I already told you. Like just stop. Just know when to stop. That's what aggravates me the most. But I mean, for the most part, it's tolerable. But sometimes you do need to take a break from your phone.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a good message to the fans, to stop, hold back if if the lady says stop, just be respectful and and be, you're a human being. You have you need to be treated with respect,
Right. And not to be a jerk, but like I can't spend all day having a back and forth conversation with people I have a business, I have friends, I have family, I have things happening in real life, not in Instagram world, that need to be addressed. I can't keep on going back and forth all day
Yeah,
long.
that's
So
true.
people need to be respectful of other people's time. I actually
Yeah.
don't understand how people have all the time they do to be online.
Yeah.
And like, why would you want to be online all the time?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Me, I know like some people don't have like all the things that I have going on,
Yeah.
but people need to realize that some people do. Some people are busy. You can't spend all day talking to everybody.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
it's not against them. And I try to acknowledge everybody who says something to me that's respectful.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's not enough time in the day to have back and forth conversations with all these people either.
Yeah. That's a good message. And it's good. It's good you mentioned that here because I think that needs to be said. So yeah, definitely. Now I was curious, what would you do to improve the sport of bodybuilding and how would you make the sport better?
So my main thing is that I've noticed is just how the lines of categories have gotten blurred.
Yeah.
So I would just like to see more. I know that they put the descriptions out there of what they're expecting, what the criteria is, but like it's not always rewarded that
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
Uh, so one way I feel like, for example, women's physique would be benefited is if they made it like men's classic and gave like a height to weight limit.
Hmm.
And someone who's not in that limit, they're a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a no brainer.
I think, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Because again, figure has like a different structure, right? So even though some of the figure girls, they could easily do women's physique, not all the women's physique girls could do figure.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that's why women's physique is a nice like cross between the two.
Hmm.
Um, because then it gives somebody like with a structure like mine a place to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I have
Mhm.
no desire to put on 40 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
I it's cool as hell. Don't get me wrong. I love muscle, but I don't want 40 extra pounds of muscle on me.
Yeah. That's a lot of weight to carry around too.
I'm just throwing out a number. I don't even know what it would be,
Yeah.
but the height to weight limit, then that like there's no question anymore. If you're heavier than this at this height, you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, that the Ms. Olympia actually had a lightweight and a heavyweight class.
Right.
And
That makes sense.
it's been years since that happened. And that was also prior to the splitting of the divisions too, that they didn't have that many divisions back then. Um,
Right.
but yeah, no, that's good. That's good message though, I think. I had just have time for one more quick question. You talked a little bit about seeing bodybuilding on ESPN, and I used to watch that too. It was huge for me when I was a fan or as a kid. But um, how do you think we could get bodybuilding back on TV again? I think it would help introduce the sport to people like it did back in the 90s.
Um. So I mean, at least they're doing like the live streams or the pay-per-views or whatever it is that they're doing now. So I think
Yeah.
it's great that they implemented that since so like COVID came through with a couple things that actually like fixed some things, and I think that was one of the positive outcomes is that now they offer that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I agree.
I mean, I think social media has definitely helped with bringing it to more of a mainstream kind of feel. But
Hmm.
I still also think that bodybuilding will always be sort of like this weird. I don't want to call it. Well, definitely, we're all a bunch of freaking weirdos in this sport. Um, it's like it's underground, like it's not for everybody. Not everyone understands it. So I think it's kind of cool that it's not necessarily like NFL or NBA or anything like that. So
I understand. We're going to run out of time here. I wanted to say bye and I wanted to thank you for joining me.
oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And I'll get this posted soon. Thanks so much, Angela.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.